I can. I'm too short. Let's see. You can tell I'm new at this.
What's up?
You can tell that I'm new at this. I have to figure out my seat height. Cool.
I always feel weird on like camera and stuff whenever wait, I wonder if I could just not see myself. Hide self view.
You'd like to see yourself.
Huh?
Or you can tap yourself and it'll flip it around.
Yeah, I don't know, just something happens subconsciously. I do it in Zoom meetings too, and then it just doesn't feel natural.
I'm too short.
Mm.
I'm having some complications. Give me 1 second. Because if I'm going to broadcast this, I really want to look somewhat professional.
Well, I don't know. We can just talk about it right now, and we can plan it to do it like professionally tomorrow or something like that if you want.
It's okay. We can. I think there's nothing like being. This is perfect. Yeah. There we go. Like it being authentic would probably be the best. So I'm just gonna hit screen record now. We'll just flow with it, and then if you want to eyeball it for 30 minutes from now, the cue would be like, that was some great topics, Aaron. That was you know how you just wrap up things. So anyway,
yeah, I guess. Yeah, I do know what you mean.
3, 2, 1. Right. So I'm with the great Adam Johnson. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Well. So you and I have been in talks about the journey, and it's great to have you on board in the conversation, the dialogue, because a lot of people don't really experience the things that we experience in terms of the struggle, in terms of the turmoil, the suffering, and the rewards through understanding your afflictions and whatnot. So maybe you can elaborate on what started your journey and maybe the things that were obstacles that really turn into blessings.
I guess, what's it called? Okay. It's so good. No, I'm just thinking like, because I'm going to end up doing this a few times. You've seen my video when I did the whole anxiety thing, and then it kind of, you know what I mean? Like the beginning where it just sort of trips over itself a little bit. But I'm thinking like, you're right. I have to get used to sort of the professional format a little bit. It's interesting because I'm so used to coming at it from such a off the dome, just sort of like, yeah.
Or even like, let's say if this were like me talking to you, just a regular talk, when there's no record button. We all know that this is a shitty experience.
I mean, not really, actually. Like, I don't see it that way. And even when you say that, like, not a lot of people understand, like, the struggles, like, I think actually, like, everybody does. Like, they just need a certain language to understand it from because what's it called? Like, I guess, if I was going to relate it to, like, cells splitting themselves up, right? Like, they sort of organize into, like, groups of language that communicates with the body in a specific way. Same with like human beings. So everyone goes through their sort of like individual turmoil. And for me and you, our turmoil was extremely similar, which is why we're sitting here together having a conversation. Whereas like a lot of other people, they go through a different type of similar turmoil, which is what connects them. And then the world starts to create these organs. And so me and you are a part of like the same organ, whereas like other people would be, but we're all a part of the same body, and we need to figure out a way to break the language barrier that's causing the turmoil that you're talking about, the feeling of not belonging because
Mm.
you feel alienated because we're at the beginning of something new. It's almost like how when a fetus is developing, like it starts with a heart and then something else. So
Yeah.
when there's that, I get actually cancer would be a way better explanation. Like a cancer cell gets isolated, and then the second it gets isolated, it doesn't commit suicide. Same with like a human, it actually begins to multiply extremely, just like negativity. Like if you have a negative human being inside of a workplace, typically they end up creating actually more other, like more negative people around them, and so on and so forth. It becomes this growing body, but it's
Yeah.
just an idea, like it's an emotion, a consciousness.
Makes a lot of sense because a lot of times, let's say on Facebook, I'll write a post, and then it'll be like in the frequency of compliments of the post. Hey, I never thought of this, and wow, that's a great observation. Then there's that one person, and that one person goes, "Well, I don't see it that way," and then someone else will catch on to that frequency, and then they'll say the same thing. I agree. I don't see what you see, and then it seems like people tend to become like the sheep syndrome, where they see one, two, three, four, five people responding the same way, and so they want to be a part of that. It's sort of like abandonment is
Bandwagoning.
common denominator of a lot of situations. If someone's abandoned, their feelings of inclusion attaches to mass groups or mass decisions or something that's ideological in terms of
Belonging.
idea to, yes, a sense of belonging.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
That social media creates this the cell, if you may. I'm trying to like word this in a common sense way, but
But
it's
yeah, that's
it's
the
sort
whole
of
thing, right?
is loose in the body. A lot of the T cells in the body attaches to the free radical. Therefore, the T cells are depleting. Where if you were to be on your own and say, hey, look, I'm greater than that free radical, then the cells can actually multiply and dominate that viral load, if that makes any sense. So I
Yeah, it
understand a lot about
does.
virus. So I tend to not be that person who's the free radical versus being the strong white T cell.
Yeah,
So I like in terms of our light work, that's the role that we play. We play this role of how do we multiply our spirit force in order to dominate this free radical.
yes.
I think that was the
Um,
cool I've ever.
yeah, I totally agree. Like you're reminding me of Alan Watts and how he explains like, but it's interesting because everyone believes that they're the hero in their own story, right? So even in like fictional movies, whatever, the villain has some sort of justification on why he is the way that he is, which makes him his own hero, right?
Right.
And so you need, but in every good story, you need a hero and you need a villain in a certain
Yeah.
sense, right? And that's the yin and that's the yang, and that's what makes everything a dance.
Mhm.
And it's all, nobody's actually the hero or the villain, and everybody is both. But and
Right.
that's the whole light and dark inside of you. But then it's all based on perspective in terms of who you think externally would be your enemy.
Right.
And then that's just the story that you tell yourself because they're not actually an enemy. And that's what we're all kind of starting to catch on to
Yeah.
because we have enough context. Like
Mhm.
with the internet, there's just so much information, and you figure, especially with memes, it breaks it down into really simplistic, relatable ideas that no matter what walk of life you come from, you can sort of relate to it. And
Exactly.
so it allows like now it's breaking down those borders, right? It's allowing everybody to sort of get along. Well, almost, not quite,
Oh,
obviously, but all, like, yeah,
yeah. I always tell a lot of folks, um, there's this idea in their head that there's this little man in the middle of the earth. His name is Satan, and he just wants to pick on you all day. And I always share with a lot of people, if you get rid of that thought, there is no little red man or a big whatever. There's no creature in the center of the earth who has his agenda to get rid of you, or else you wouldn't be here already.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a dualistic uh, um, setup where people just automatically think, oh my gosh, the enemy is against me. Oh my gosh, the enemy this, the enemy that. Or I talk to my mom a lot, and she always says, there's a huge blessing coming your way because, it seems like the enemy is just really ganging up on you. And I'm like, well, I don't think there's an enemy, Mom. I think that when I listen to the things that lower my frequency or get me disappointed or discouraged, or I feel bad that I wasn't enough for a situation, that's the enemy in my head. And so there was a
Yes.
years ago, and the quote was, the darkest place in all of the world is between your ears. And the more we hear that voice in our head, ah,
That's fine. It's okay.
it's fine.
I need to check on my chicken anyways, but I'll bring you with me.
Okay. Let me answer this for once. It's too dark. Okay. I'm not going to bring you with me.